months ago, a bunch of scientists, I think in California, had wired some of the, I think it was Buddhist monks, and were measuring their brain activity during chanting and meditation. And they were finding significant gamma waves being emanated from their brain and emotional centers in the brain for peace and love and empathy were lighting up like Christmas trees that they had never seen before outside of drug-induced states. So the conclusion they drew was that chanting and meditation was kind of brain exercise. Curious about what your opinion of that study was, and also what you think the brain's role in any of this is.
No. Some scientists were conducting experiments on frogs, and the way the frogs were leaping. So once they cut off one of the legs of the frog that was literally, tree frogs which were leaping about 20 feet. If you cut off one leg, they were leaping only 15 feet. Then they cut off two legs and so on. They were leaping only 10 feet. They cut off three legs. With one leg it was leaping only 5 feet. Then they cut off all the four legs. Then they concluded, when you cut off all the four legs of the frog, it becomes deaf. So, surface observations are not everything. This is something that you have to know from within. Brain is just body. Yes? Brain is body, isn't it? So certain changes are happening in the body as a result of something else. That result is not the source of what's happening. Certain emotions and other things are clearing up and more peace and compassion and love is manifesting. It is not about compassion, it's not about love, it's not about any of these things. See, what you need to understand is if there is a certain, how would you like to keep your body? Pleasant or unpleasant? Pleasant. If your body is feeling very pleasant, it will be healthy and pleasurable. If your mind is feeling very pleasant, it will be happy. If your emotions are feeling very pleasant, it will be loving, compassionate. If your energies are feeling very pleasant, it will be blissful. So all these are working towards creating a certain pleasantness in all the dimensions of who you are. Because of this, physical body is changing, mind is changing, emotions are changing. But the pleasantness is coming not because of that. That is just a result. Right now, you have glorified love too much because you have not known anything better. People are going about talking as if love is the highest thing, isn't it? Because probably that's the most pleasant thing that they have touched in their life. Love means what? A longing to become one with somebody, isn't it? Yes. Yes or no? This longing to become one with something is what, on the emotional level, you call it love. This longing is always there. With love, it never finds fulfillment. The longing remains. If you intensify the longing, it will become enormous suffering. When moments of oneness happens, it will be great pleasure. When moments of separation happens, it will be great torture. Yes? Is it so? Is it so or no? They have known moments of oneness, which is so valuable to them. They are willing to go through all the torture that comes with it. Yes or no? A few moments of oneness, for that they are willing to go through all the torture. It's worthwhile. So fundamentally what's happening within you is, there is something within you. Wherever you are right now in your life, it wants to be little more than what you are right now, isn't it? Is that so? This is the desiring process. Your desire is not about anything. Your desire is, it wants to expand. Wherever you are, it's not enough. It wants little more, little more, little more. So this longing for oneness, or this longing for including everything as a part of yourself, when it finds a basic physical expression, we call this sex. What you're trying to do with sex is, you're desperately trying to become one with somebody. However hard you try, it doesn't happen. There are moments when it makes you feel like you are one, but the next moment everything is separate, isn't it? If you try this mentally, generally it gets labeled as greed, conquest, ambition. You're trying to include everything as a part of yourself. You want to conquer the world itself. If it finds an emotional expression, we call this love. If it finds a conscious expression, we call this yoga. It is the same longing to include something as a part of yourself, because who you are is not sufficient, isn't it? Why is it that you want to include another person as a part of yourself? Somehow the way you are is not sufficient, isn't it? Isn't it so? There's an intense longing to become one with somebody, because the way you are is insufficient. Suppose if you sit here, you are so complete. If you sit here, you are so complete within yourself that you are absolutely blissful by your own nature. Would you be longing to become one with somebody else? Because in your longing and being one with somebody for a few moments, you have known a little bit of bliss in it. That's what you're going after, isn't it? Isn't it so? It's not love that you're going after. Because of love, you found a few moments of blissfulness. That's what you're going after, isn't it so? Yes? Now, it is not ambition that you're pursuing. Because of ambition, when you made certain achievements, when you included something as yours, you felt certain amount of bliss. That's what you're going after, isn't it so? It is not sex that you're going after. In your sexuality, at certain moments, you found certain moments of blissfulness. That's what you're going after, isn't it? So what you're seeking is blissfulness. What you're seeking is not sexuality. What you're seeking is not ambition or things. What you're seeking is not love. All these things have been the different ways of getting there for a moment. Now, for a few moments of blissfulness that you have known, and you know it's not sufficient. Yes? So it's time you approached it consciously. Isn't it time you approached it consciously? That is why Patanjali, I think I told you this on the first day itself. When Patanjali wrote Yoga Sutras, he started Yoga Sutras in a strange way. The first chapter of Yoga Sutra is, and now yoga. Half a sentence. Such a great document on life starts with half a sentence. Because you still believe that if you find a new girlfriend, everything will be okay in your life. If you still believe, if you get a raise, everything will be okay. If you still believe, if you buy a new house or a new car, everything will be okay, it's not your time for yoga. You've seen all those things and you know it doesn't work. And now yoga. Have you come there?
If you have to utter any kind of sound without using the tongue, what are the sounds that you could utter? I want you to experiment and see. Yes, for sure you can do possible. Yes, possible. What else? Suppose you did not have a tongue. What are the sounds you can utter? You can do You can do oo, you can do Try any other sound. Someone who is unable to speak, a mute person who is unable to speak, what are the sounds that he makes? Oo, Because these three sounds do not need the use of your tongue. If you remove your tongue, you are able to make only three sounds. Oo, You are using the tongue, placing the tongue in different positions in your palate to mix these three sounds and produce all the other sounds that you produce. If you know something about the color television, you would know there are only three basic colors. Using these three colors, you see every other possible color on the tube. Similarly, there are only three basic sounds. Using these three sounds, you are able to produce all these other sounds. The tongue is just helping you to mix these three sounds in many complex ways. Now these three sounds, oo and ma, are referred to as the basic sounds or the universal sounds, because these three sounds are the basis of all the other sounds that you can utter. If you utter these three sounds together, what do you get? It's not O. So these are the three basic sounds which are the very basis of all the other sounds that you can utter. So is known as the universal sound or the basic sound in the creation. If this is true, how come only a certain religion seems to be using it as a brand for themselves and nowhere else it is known? That is not true. Wherever there is a realized being, there sound will be there. For example, Christianity, born in Jerusalem, where the language at that time was Aramaic. Aramaic language has a certain inflection where sound is dominant. So in Christianity, whatever they close with today, whatever they say, they close it with Amen. If you look at it the way it is said at the Vatican, it's always said, Amen. You take off the N and say Amen. Oh. If you want to understand this, you can see a similar inflection in Tamil. See now, for example, Ram. You know Ram, born in Ayodhya? He came down south. When he came south, when Ram entered Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, people called him Rama. Then he crossed the Tamil Nadu border. People called him Raman. If Krishna comes to Tamil Nadu, what will you do? Krishnan. If Arjun comes to Tamil Nadu, what do you do? Arjunan. If Bhim comes to Tamil Nadu, what do you do? Bhiman. Whoever enters Tamil Nadu border, they get unified. This inflection of in Tamil is much stronger than Aramaic. Amen. You take out the N, it's just Am. Today this Amen has gone to the United States of America and become Amen. This is cultural and language distortions which happen. Islam born also in the same region, under the same cultural and language influences, they are saying Ameen. Take away N and say Ameen. Oh, it's the same sound. Because wherever a human being becomes silent by his own nature, not school teacher silence, not plugging your ears silence, if you become silent by your own nature, sound will reverberate in the system, because the root sound for your physical existence is sound When reverberates, it starts from just beneath the navel and ends at the tip of your nose. This reverberation will just happen by itself. So wherever a human being truly sat quietly, utter quietness within himself, he always became aware of the sound When he transmitted it, it got distorted over a period of time according to language and cultural influences. Even in India, has become Om. It is not Om. You open your mouth and say Gently close your mouth, it becomes U. You close it, it becomes Sound has innumerable benefits. Even today, if anybody come here with any kind of psychological disturbances, the first prescription is always You do this for a few weeks, you settle down, and then we go into other aspects. I can show you hundreds of people for whom medically it was believed that they have to be on psychiatric medication for the rest of their life, have completely walked out of the need for medication simply by uttering If you are suffering from excessive fear, distorted dreams, bad dreams, nightmares, unstable mind, unstable body, if your general constitution is weak, you tend to fall sick too often, particularly children, if they have attention disorders, daily utterance of for a few minutes a day will make an enormous difference for you. If you have problems that you are unable to do anything with a certain resolve in your life, daily utterance of will be truly transformational for you. Within a couple of weeks, you can notice a phenomenal difference in the way you function. Because this is the basic sound in your physical existence.